Hello there, good evening and a warm welcome to the news live on Rupavahini Channel I. I'm Sharon Masquinius.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
The President informs heads in the power sector to resolve the power crisis without causing obstructions to the general public. The Minister in charge reiterates that there are no power cuts. Schools reopen normally after a lapse of 1.5 years. The booster dose is to be inoculated to students, parents and teachers within the school premises. Day-to-day living has been severely affected in Australia due to the spread of the Omicron virus. Medical aid amounting to 130 million rupees from China. 19 persons killed in a fire in an apartment building in America.
Moving on to the stories in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa stressed that steps should be taken to find a solution to the power crisis without disrupting the lives of the people. The President made these remarks during a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat this morning with the heads of the power and energy sectors regarding the issue of the power crisis. Well, the officials pointed out that this situation has arisen due to the several issues in relation to the generation of electricity using coal and fossil fuel. Managing of coal reserves in Sri Lanka is adequate to avert a power crisis. The officials also said that proper management of fuel-fired power generation can help prevent the power cuts. The Ministers of Power and Energy stated that all steps have been taken to manage the current situation and maintain the livelihoods of the people. Ministers Gamali Lokuge, Uday Gammanpilla, Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Niwad Kabral, State Minister Duminda Desanayake, Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara, and Finance Secretary S.R. Artigala, Secretaries to the Ministries of Power and Energy and heads of the relevant line institutions were also present. Minister Gamali Lokuge, meanwhile, said that necessary measures will be taken to avoid any power disruptions in the future.
Trade unions in the electricity sector say if it was compelled to conduct power cuts, the main reason for such a situation would have been the mafia prevailing within the Ceylon Electricity Board. Another reason is not setting up new power plants since the year 2015. In the initial stages, the hydropower electricity stations were able to fulfill the country's power requirement. However, due to the escalation of demand for electricity on a daily basis, the existing capacities were not adequate. As a result, several power plants for generation of electricity powered by fuel were erected. Yet there had not been a proper methodology to fulfill the power requirements until the year 2005. Even during that time, proposals had been presented regarding the construction of power plants such as Norachole and the Upper Kotmale. However, due to strong objections, they were not able to implement until the year 2005. The obvious outcome had been constant suspensions of electricity. The peak of the crisis was witnessed especially in the years of 2003 and 4. The intensity of the crisis was amply demonstrated through the fact of coining a hilarious title of Karuwala Jayasuriya to the then Minister of Power, Karu Jayasuriya. It was President Mahinda Rajapaksa during his first term in office that steps had been taken to rectify the situation through speedy construction of the Norachole and Upper Kotmale power stations. As a result of these timely measures, there had not been any need to cut back power until the year 2015. The Kerala power station was also established during the tenure of the presidency of Mahinda Rajapaksa as another solution to the power crisis. By the year 2015, all preparations had been made for the construction of the power plant in Sampur. However, the government of good governance that was in power during that time did not make any effort to construct this power plant. During the good governance government regime, not a single large-scale electricity plant was established. It has also been pointed out that there are employees attached to the Ceylon Electricity Board who have wide experience on rainy and drought season every year. It is a major responsibility of these officials as well as the government to prepare plans to fulfill the country's power requirement. Reports have been published through media that a reason for power cutbacks at present is the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation not providing fuel oil. Meanwhile, the CPC has stated that the Electricity Board informed them that fuel was not needed for the month of January. Certain media reports have pointed out on destabilizing of activities at the Norachore power station due to a shortage of coal. However, trade unions say that there is no shortage of coal, but that a conspiracy program is being implemented within the CEB itself to procure electricity from private power stations.
Well, all schools in the island have reopened as usual today. Up to now, school activities were subjected to numerous restrictions. Principals say that the attendance of students were at a very high level. However, all activities have been conducted according to health guidelines. A program to inoculate students between 12 and 15 years of age commenced on the 7th of this month. The program is being conducted within the school premises. Students in many schools were vaccinated today as well. Students who are eligible to receive the booster vaccine are able to receive their doses along with the eligible parents, teachers and other officials in the education sector within the school premises itself. So far, 34,203,880 vaccines have been inoculated on people in Sri Lanka under the COVID immunization program. Out of this number, 10,690,058 persons receiving the first dose and 13,860,697 with both doses. The booster dose being given to 334,126 persons. Director General of Health Services confirmed 15 COVID-19 related deaths which occurred yesterday. 9 of the fatalities of the age of 60 and above. The number of victims between 30 and 59 years is 5 and the remaining fatality is below 30 years of age. Well, the Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemant Herat, remarks over today's reopening of schools. He further emphasizes on the emergence of new coronavirus, urging a person to receive boosters out there. It's
about activity of health line. All of this capacity and bring the current full education to the maximum. This in corrupt and very increased due to present COVID over the health has been now most years past. These need to make sure that the scheduled exams are going to be held, for which we need to make sure that schools are functioning to their maximum capacity, and adhering to the health guidelines need to be done at school levels to the maximum. That is what we have to tell. Wherever possible, try to adhere to the health guidelines, and there can be certain areas where 100% implementation may not be practical, but that doesn't mean that we should do away with those practices. Adhere to the health guidelines to the maximum, so that you will be protected, your children will be protected, and loved one at home also will be protected by preventing the spread of disease through schools or through school children. We know that there had been reports about emergence of super strains combining Delta and Omicron variants. These are theoretical possibilities expressed by various scientists in different parts of the world. Our scientists and the specialists in this field are reviewing the available data, and therefore at the moment these are only theoretical possibilities. At this moment we do not need to take any additional steps to prevent any emergence of such strains in Sri Lanka. However, our specialists and all other stakeholders are vigilant about such things, and therefore there is a continuous monitoring system on the emergence of new strains and other genetic aberrations of the COVID-19 virus. What we need to keep in our mind is whatever the new strains so far emerged are sensitive to the basic health guidelines that we have adopted. So therefore adhere to the social distancing, adhering to other respiratory etiquettes. Then up to now all new variants have been able to be controlled using the basic health measures. What we need to do at this moment is to get the individual protection, get your appropriate dose of vaccination.
Australia has surpassed 1 million COVID-19 cases, with more than half of them recorded in the past week, as the Omicron variant has spread through most of the country, driving up hospitalisation numbers and putting a strain on supply chains. Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison has said today that the country must push through the fast-moving Omicron outbreak. Although aggressive lockdowns and tough border controls kept a lid on infections earlier in the pandemic, Australia is now battling record infections in its effort to live with virus after higher vaccination rates. Growing hospital admissions have forced officials to restore curbs in several states as businesses grapple with shortages of staff because of sicknesses or isolation requirements. The situation is a turnaround for Australia, which suppressed previous waves of a pandemic through lockdowns and strict border controls and quarantines. Meanwhile, the major port of Tianjin, China, may be facing China's first local outbreak of the Omicron variant of coronavirus less than a month before the Winter Olympics open in nearby Beijing. Reports have said that the government has divided Tianjin and its 14 million residents into 3 levels of restrictions, starting with the lockdown areas where people are not allowed to leave their homes at all. However, the city has begun mass testing of all its residents yesterday after a cluster of 20 children and adults tested positive for COVID, including at least 2 with Omicron variant. Officials have said that a number of cases could arise as the virus has been circulating in the country. Neighbouring India has reported 179,723 new COVID-19 infections today, as the most since late May, taking the total of 35.71 million. The country has begun giving booster doses of COVID-19 vaccine to priority groups amid a surge in infections. The drive began as India battles a spike in COVID cases fueled by the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. Meanwhile, COVID-19 has infected more than 307 million people and has killed over 5.5 million globally.
And coming back home, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the Kothalavala Defence University has been subjected to international acclamation. He has made these remarks participating in a ceremony at the university today. Well, it was held in connection with the commencement of the academic activities in the technology faculty of the university, as well as on the declaring open of a new entrance complex. The KDU is a prominent university in the country, bringing out professional cadres dedicated towards national security as well as on creating sustainable development. The Faculty of Technology has been commenced in addition to 9 other faculties, namely Defence, Medical, Engineering, Law, Health, Management, Social Sciences and Humanities, Computer, Environment and Space. The Premier said that the success of the KDU has been reflected through increases in student intakes for graduate courses every year. Increases in the annual admission of foreign students also demonstrate the fact that the university has been subjected to international recognition in addition to the local popularity. Prior to the eruption of the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of Sri Lankan students have migrated overseas in pursuit of higher education. As a result, Sri Lanka has lost millions of dollars of foreign exchange. This has created a serious national problem. The Premier further said that the Kothalavala Defence University was able to save large amounts of foreign exchange by providing higher education opportunities for many students within the university. Vice Chancellor of the Kothalavala Defence University, Major General Milinda Peris, has presented a souvenir to the Prime Minister. Governor of the Western Province, Marshal of the Air Force, Roshan Gunathilaka, was also present.
The Colombo High Court has rejected an appeal submitted by parliamentarian Patali Champika Ranawaka requesting to suspend the hearing of a case filed against him scheduled to commence with effect from tomorrow. The verdict has been delivered upon examination of the revised petition. The case is being heard before a panel of judges comprising of Menaka Vijayasundara and S. Kumaran Ratnam. President's counsel Faiza Mustafa, appearing on behalf of Ranawaka, has requested the judiciary to issue an interim order suspending further examination. The court, overturning the request, said that an order will be delivered on the 24th of this month regarding granting permission to examine the relevant revised petition. Champika Ranawaka has been accused of concealing and fabricating evidence pertaining to causing serious injuries to a youth by means of negligent driving in the year 2016.
Well, Vice President of the Asian Development Bank, Chixin Shen, says that the bank will support the small and medium enterprises sector for the economic development of the country. The Vice President Chen made these remarks when he met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the Presidential Secretariat today. ADB Vice President Sheng commended the success of the ongoing projects in Sri Lanka with the assistance of the Asian Development Bank. He further said that the ADB is ready to provide funds to restructure several state-owned enterprises. The ADB has allocated $786 million for Sri Lanka this year for the implementation of 27 projects. The ADB annual meeting will be held in Sri Lanka from 2nd May to 5th with the participation of 68 countries. Simultaneously, plans are afoot to hold several activities including business conferences. About 5,000 local and foreign representatives are expected to attend these events. The annual meeting held under the theme Positioning Climate Resilient Green Economy for the Post-COVID-19 world. The ADB Vice President commended the successful COVID-19 vaccination program and the streamlined health mechanisms implemented by the government. President Rajapaksa said that the government and the people of Sri Lanka are grateful for the assistance provided by the ADB to make the vaccination program a success.
Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva says that the discussion took look into the possibilities of granting the 5,000 rupee allowance for the private sector employees will continue with the relevant stakeholders. He made these remarks during a meeting held at the Employers Federation of the Salon and Private Sector Employers today.
The concerted view of the private sector is that currently the private sector is going through very difficult times, and already most of the companies have given such increases to the employees, either in way of salary increases and on top of that various other allowances, etc. Currently the industry is trying to basically come out of the doldrums after more than 2 years very difficult situation impacted with the pandemic, and if any further burden like this comes upon the private sector, it will seriously affect the sustainability of the private sector and most companies will not be able to survive. Currently there is a severe foreign exchange issue and the exchange rate is also a major concern because the exporters have to convert their earnings at rupees 200, losing about 20% on the exchange rate. So that again retards their competitiveness globally. So overall, the concerted view of the private sector is the government should not or refrain from interfering into the salary bargaining process in the private sector, and it should be left for the companies to discuss with the employees and reach amicable solutions based on their future market situation and the future plans, etc.
Today we had a long discussion with the Employers Federation and the private sector employers in order to find a lasting solution to the payment of rupees 5,000 for the private sector employees. But all the representatives who came for this meeting today, they raised various issues, their concerns and their grievances, why they cannot pay this 5,000 rupees now. They forwarded to me that most of the companies, they have already incurred a lot of expenses, more expenses for transport, for providing meals, etc. And some of them have already increased salaries and other incentives for the workers. And they are undergoing a tremendous financial difficulties due to COVID situation. They have taken the moratorium from the banks, and from March this month they had to repay all these loans. Then as a result of the shortage of dollars in the country, our imports are less, and therefore it's very difficult to find the exports for the exports, the containers and other facilities, and the prices have risen in that sector also. Therefore, they will submit me a memorandum tomorrow in writing the difficulties they are facing and why they are not in a position to pay this 5,000 rupees. So I will be submitting all these representations to the Cabinet of Ministers and then arrive at a decision.
Well, the pedestrian lane in front of the light craft landing of the Colombo port city was declared open for the general public today. Well, people in large numbers are arriving at this location since this morning to feel the enchanting beauty of the environment. The general public could enter the pedestrian path of the Colombo port city via the temporary entrance in front of the presidential secretariat located at the Golfways Green End. They are permitted to travel up to the Colombo port city footbridge erected at the end of the pedestrian walk. Well, this was the first occasion of the opening of the section of the Colombo port city premises. The other sections are scheduled to be declared open on a stage-by-stage basis.
Examination of the petition submitted to the Supreme Court requesting to annul the decision taken to transfer shares of the Yugadanavi power station in Keravalapitia has been conducted for the third day today. It is being examined by a 5-member panel of judges including Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya and Justices Bhuvanekalu Vihare, Priyantha Jayawardena, Vijit Malalgoda and LTB Denia. Affidavits have been filed in favour of the petitions by President's Counsel Udita Ihalaheva on behalf of the ministers Vimal Veeravansa, Vasudeva Nanayakara and Udaya Kammanpilla. The Attorney General has raised objection recently before the Supreme Court, stating that the affidavits submitted by the 3 ministers were against the Constitution. President's Counsel Udita Ihalaheva, rejecting the charge, said that the cabinet paper relating to the issue has not been presented to any of the ministers. The President's Counsel has further pointed out that they were not being able to take a decision in this regard. Charges could not be filed against his clients over violating the collective responsibility of the cabinet. Attorney General Sanjay Rajaratnam said there was nothing in the issue which needs to be concealed. He added that if the ministers were not enlightened, the issue nothing could be done in this regard. President's Counsel Ramesh De Silva, presenting facts on behalf of one of the respondents in the petition, the Ceylon Electricity Board, said that the agreement has been carried out according to the law. Further hearings have been postponed till the 12th of this month.
State Minister of Agriculture Shashindra Rajapaksa says seed production will be made compulsory in all government-owned farms. A circular to this effect is scheduled to be released shortly. The State Minister has made these remarks on the occasion of the launching of the Pahandura bi-monthly magazine today. Well, the ceremony was held at the Hector Kobakadu Agrarian Research and Training Institute in Colombo. Senior Professor in the Faculty of Soil Biology Studies at ChannelEye University, Sultana Ahmed Ismail, was also present at this event. The State Minister further said on this occasion that the necessary knowledge and financial support for seed production will be provided.
Foreign tourist arrivals to places of tourist attraction are reported to have gone up. Tour guides say that as a result, their incomes have been strengthened once again. Hotel owners say that foreign tourists are arriving in large numbers to Allah after several years. As a result, many direct and indirect employment opportunities have been recreated. Foreign tourist visits to the southern province, including Gulf Fort, have been also increased with the relaxation of travel restrictions. Foreigners were seen purchasing locally made items at tourist hotspots.
Many farmers have been able to reap a bounty harvest through application of organic fertilizer in their cultivations. Well, they say that the use of organic manure enabled them to provide food without poison to the people. One such successful farmer is Wasantakumara Galage of Polothuila, Homagama. The organic fertilizer he uses in this farming is also being used in the cultivation of flower plants as well. The farmer Wasantakumara sternly rejects accusations of certain groups regarding that organic farming would not lead to a successful harvest.
An innovator in Angoda has been successful in designing a stove of high efficiency which could be used for cooking meals using coconut charcoal. A special feature is the ability to create a strong flame by using only a small amount of coconut shells. Creator of the device, Mitrapala, says that a computer cooling fan is being used to create a strong flame. He further says that the oven is extremely safe and could be used with lesser amount of electricity.
Well, a media briefing to enlighten the general public on the contribution of the national newspapers on human resource development in Sri Lanka was held at the Department of Government Information today. The event has been named as Towards 2030 through 100 years of study. Well, the Director General Anusha Gokula Fernando said that the people continue to remain with the newspapers. It has been pointed out that the current research has enabled to make recommendations on human and social development of newspaper readers. Director of the Department of Manpower and Employment, Sumit Pereira, said that among English medium newspapers, the Sunday Observer, the Daily Mirror and the Daily News have extended more contributions towards human resources development. Among the singular medium newspapers, the Dinamina newspaper is in the forefront, extending 53.9% of the contributions. 80% of the population still focus on the attention on articles published in newspapers. They believe that the newspapers tell the truth. Well, the Director General of Government Information, Mohan Samaranayake, says that the world economy is shrinking, depriving many job opportunities. The world trade is also contracting. He added that the worldwide consumer goods and services supplies have also been destabilized. The Director General of the Government Information further says that under such circumstances, countries such as ours will have to carry forward more work through the media in order to receive a speedy relief. He also said that a dialogue will have to be created as to how the media should be operated to fulfill this objective. Well, looking forward to some exciting cricketing action. It's time to end the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs. Take care and stay safe.